And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to another live reality games podcast where we cover everything live reality game related, a little bit of reality TV, kind of meshing it all to one. We are joined here as the season 2 premiere of Survivor CNU, and we have a new podcaster with us. And joining our crew here is Destiny. Destiny, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here.
To the new people watching at home, Destiny, what is your live reality game background? What do you know about this community in general?
Sure. So I started playing just on the normal org pages, and then I was invited to Mayhem Manor, which is one of the largest live reality games.
The largest cast, no doubt. It's up to 40 people usually.
I think there was 42 when I was there. It was a lot. It was really fun, and I fell in love not only with the people, but just the experience and that adrenaline rush that you get playing these games that you love so much. So I've played a few other live games. I hope to play more, and then I watch them. If you have a live game and you don't have me commenting on it, you are probably not advertising it well enough, because I watch them religiously. So
one of your biggest admirers is out in the comment section already. Shout out to Kirk there. Specifically watching for Destiny and some hot takes. So hey, you ready for your hot takes tonight?
I hope so. I hope we can caveat that we don't actually know any of these people, so our opinions is going off of very small clips and facial expressions that we see of you. So please know it's not personal if we're going off of very small clips.
We hope everyone in these competitions the best of luck. We do like to see a little bit of drama, some heated conversation sometimes, but hey, we wish everyone the best of luck in all good spirits. Speaking of good spirits, 2 people joining us tonight are the editor and host. So we'll start with Trevor, the host. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. Very excited to talk about this awesome premiere.
How did you kind of get wrangled into this? Or we can save this for later. Let's just jump right to the editor here. Colin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I've been watching a lot of College Survivor. I've watched it for a long time, so I'm happy to kind of join the ranks here and talk about it some more.
Fantastic. I know we have a few questions about how you folks got started in this and everything. I'll leave this over to Destiny while I promote this page. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. And if you are not subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, make sure you follow us on youtube.com/live-reality-games and over on our Facebook page at facebook.com/live-reality-games. When we hit that 500 mark, people will be receiving these right here, special edition ones too. So they're marked with the logo, the Live Reality Games logo, and we'll have a little giveaway. So make sure if you're not subscribed or liked to our pages yet, make sure you do that. Destiny, you want to kick us off with some questions, please?
So we'll get into Trevor. How did you get started with this? What made you go, I want to do this crazy experience?
Yeah, it is crazy. So I remember I was going into college, and it was 2017 when I got into college, and I wanted to do something Survivor related. I was thinking the most realistic thing would be probably a watch party on Wednesdays, just to watch with people and discuss the episodes with people. And then in around, I think it was 2018, Colin introduced me to this thing called Survivor Maryland. And we watched a bunch of those. We watched, I remember I'd go to his room at least once a week to finish out All Stars. So that was a lot of fun. And Colin said to me, I think we can try to do something like this here. I knew it would take a lot of work. And like I've said, we were aggressively underprepared for the amount of work it would take. But I'm graduated now. Looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Well, you had to like it because you've done 2 seasons of it now. So how did you progress from what your experience was in season 1 and then fixed into season 2?
We said a lot to season 1 cast. You guys are definitely the guinea pigs. A lot of what we do here is extremely off the fly here. So we're figuring out exactly how to do what challenges work better, what challenges don't, like the setup for Tribal Council. It was also tough because between seasons 1 and 2, in season 1, it was just me, Colin, who graduated, and our camera person transferred after that year. So it was just me, and I was lucky enough to have people from season 1, like the players in season 1, help me with season 2. So the people on season 2 from season 1 were Carson, Madison, and Gwen. And they kind of came with like a player perspective of like, hey, we felt this was good. So it's kind of a good mesh between I have experience from like an omniscient point of view, and they have like from within the game point of view of how things can work, and that's how we designed season 2 after.
Yeah, and a lot of production teams are formed like that. Like everyone loves to play in their first season. They're like, oh, I want more, I need more. So they find a way to get involved either on production or even in like building up the challenges and that kind of aspect. So that's fantastic to have those people carry on the torch, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah, I definitely couldn't do it without them.
Yep, I very much remember early on we had discussions before going into the first season talking about like we'll try and film as much as we can. We might end up deleting all of this footage. There might not be enough because we don't really know what we're doing. We're very much amateur camera people in the terms of we've never done anything like this. We've never done any editing. We've never done anything along these lines, but it was something that we were interested in and really enjoyed watching it both in Maryland as well as a bunch of the other schools that we've seen since then, and thought that we could definitely do something similar along the CNU campus.
Are you having people coming up to you now going, I want to play? Can you do this again? I want to play.
Yeah, I've had people definitely come up to me like either after they're voted out or after the season ends, just keep applying, even though I say I'm not doing returning players, or even I'll be on the phone talking about Survivor, and people will be near me, be like, oh, but Survivor CNU, I know about that. So it's crazy to see this club that Colin and I just had an idea about in the spring of 2019, and it got to a point where kind of almost most of the campus at least knows about it.
That's awesome. And are they sending you challenge ideas? Hey, we should do this. Hey, you should do that. And you just have a whole campus of college students doing these random Survivor challenges to see what to go in the show?
I don't think it was necessarily a challenge. I had a professor give me a challenge idea. It was not a very good idea, but it was an idea. I think it was something to do. He said like do something with like frisbees. I was like, frisbee. I don't know what to do. What do I do with that information? But it's a lot of like, hey, maybe do tribal council over here. Hey, maybe like this could be a good idea for like a twist or something like that. And then like those kind of ideas from within the e-board and from out of it. It was a good culmination of ideas.
We actually used frisbees in one of our live games at Adventure Club.
Okay.
Like they did frisbees to land on puzzle pieces. Once the frisbee landed on a puzzle piece, you can race out, go get the puzzle piece per se.
Okay.
But I could see these college kids suggesting a lot of gross stuff for eating.
Oh yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. Like
I just came up with like 4 Frisbee challenges. And I'm like, what? That was a great idea. What do you mean?
So his suggestion was like how like to go back and forth, like how many times can you throw it around each other?
Make it a Survivor thing. You have to throw, but then you have to run back and forth, and you only have 5 minutes. So however many gets the most to the thing, but you only have 5 minutes to do it. Oh, yeah. You can do it.
Yeah,
they're gonna be tired. They'll be tired.
And for our new folks watching at home, you are always available to leave comments here. Dustyn and I will try to get it into the podcast as best we can, especially if it's pertaining to what we're talking about. And we love the conversation to communicate with you. So thank you everyone for tuning in so far, and I can't wait to hear from you more.
So before we jump into the cast and we get to meet all of these great players, the biggest question I had when I was watching it is, does the game ever stop? They're in this club for so many days. When does it stop? When do they get a break from it?
They don't get a break is the answer. It starts one day. I think it was probably sometime in late January. The season started, and at 72 days later, it was over. That was it. No breaks. I think like over spring break, we were like, well, no one's going to be on campus, so that's kind of your little break, but you can still text or call or whatever. But no, the game did not stop ever.
Were there any requirements for it? Did they have to show you screenshots of their conversations? Did they have to have like production in them? How is any of that kind of monitored and used?
That is a rule that whenever you create a conversation, like whether it's just between like let's just say like Colin and Dustyn, if it was just between those two, I would want to you need to have a production person into it. Usually it would just be me in it. We had GroupMe was kind of our main source of like texting and everything. And anytime you talked in person or maybe like a video chat, I wanted it recorded and sent to me. I was very strict about you can't show footage to anyone else, because that's very much against the integrity of the game. Other than that they were kind of free to do whatever they wanted, other than just the whole footage thing.
That was my first impression of it. I was like, I'm going to call somebody on FaceTime, and in the corner, I'm going to have this other person. I'm going to be like, let's vote out Dustyn. And they're going to be like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, told you. I told you they wanted to vote you out. You didn't believe me. And so that was mine. And I'm like, how would you even...
And then I wouldn't trust a single thing you would say. I'd be like, okay, now who is she talking to in the background of my conversation?
Well, that's true. That's true. You're right. It would go both ways. But I just feel like you would be... I'm like, I'm not saying anything. Turn off the Snapchat things. I know you're taking a screenshot. I'm not doing it. I'm not saying nothing. Meet me in person. We'll talk in person.
Mm-hmm. And that's the important thing about live games. It's really the conversations you have in person, and these events are typically held in person, and it's really a great way to meet and socialize people. And a lot of people in the college campus especially like to do it as a social club and meet people like that. So it's exciting to see the relationships that build on those.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about College Survivor and about these in general is the fact that they're so long that you really form these relationships early on and you form them throughout the course of an entire semester. So it's really interesting to see how people who were complete strangers at the beginning of the semester get to a point of how is their relationship at the end of things.
Yeah, I think you might see some friendships end. Specifically in this season, I think we're going to see some friendships end. We see it forming right here. So I think by the end of this, there's going to be some breakups in friendships, and I call it now.
I'm ready to break up with this cast, at least the part that went to tribal already, based on the outcome of this episode. I'm just saying.
They're canceled. They're canceled, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Do you guys want to jump into it? Want to talk about the cast and how it started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Why don't you start it off, Trevor? You were in a room, and you bring in all of these people. What brought them together? What was it? What were you looking for when you were casting?
I have always said the main ingredient in what makes a good candidate to be on a season is that you want to do it. If you want to do it the most, that means you're going to put in the most effort. It means you'll always be able to. You'll always bring me in text. You'll try in challenges. You'll all film your footage. That to me tells me that you are all in on Survivor. I will say in the first couple of seasons we had some issues of season 1 we had 14 cast members. In season 1 we had 14 applications. So things happen like that. As the seasons went on and on, we were able to have some sort of choice. Like season 2, I remember we had some tough choices to make. But yeah, I was very happy with the finalization of this cast. I felt it was a really good group of people to fill in the shoes, so to speak, from season 1.
So to caveat, which is funny you said those who are interested. So when I was watching this episode, see if I can share my first screen here. It's my first time. This was the first thing I noticed.
Yep.
So we see this. This is coming, right? So they're saying this is the tribes. Let's jump right into it. Let's get to it. And you're all pumped and you're ready. And we see this woman right here.
Yep.
She does not clap. She doesn't clap. She's not cheering. Everyone else is smiling and ready. And the vibe is down. What is going on? I call her Black Headband because we don't get to meet her for a couple more minutes. But her name is Sophie. What is it about Sophie that she was just not ready to jump into the game right here? What happened? Did something happen? Did we not see it?
I have no idea. I didn't even notice it until I watched it back when we had the footage. I didn't. I guess I was looking at everyone else and trying to get everyone in order. But yeah, that I don't even have an explanation for that. That's I think it's maybe she was texting someone, hey, I'll text you. And when we're done with this, we did start. I think it was at 8 or 9 p.m. on a Sunday. So I have no idea.
I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt a little bit. I'm pretty confident, Trevor, you can speak to this, that I think it started a little bit later that day than you were expecting it to. Yeah, I distinctly remember, and I'm sure we're going to get into it with the number of contestants being the odd number of 17. and the reasoning behind that. But it had if it was planned to start at about 8 or 9 o'clock, it definitely did not start until like 8:25, 9:25, something along those lines. So it was a little bit of a start due to some outside the game production circumstances.
That's a few minutes, not several hours. That's not take away. And use that time. Use that time. Talk to people. Get to know them. Your whole vibe is going to determine if people want to work with you or not.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it impacted her here, but I'm going to predict that it is going to impact her in the future. And I'll show some stills of her later that continue to show this just disinterested demeanor.
She could always try to be like downplaying herself. I don't think this was the case. Like, I haven't seen a lot of like, I don't know, we say gusto in her motivation to play the game or whatnot. And so I'm excited to see her step up and maybe surprise us later on.
And the thing that she says the most about herself, she's like, I'm super outgoing. You were super outgoing your text messages. That was it. What was outgoing about this? So I hope she surprises me. I'm pulling for you, Sophie, but I think I'm not wrong. So
now the underwhelming card also goes to, I did a little screen capture too of the cast. I think Maggie, like bottom left, like she is there, like in the. I don't know if Dustyn, you picked this up too, but every single screen, she's like, doo, 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 doo. She is informed, or she's described as not knowing the game very much. So maybe she's just kind of confused or something. But she should be a little bit more like, "Yay, my buff."
Yeah, I will say, like, you know, we did have some issues with this cast in particular. We did not have we had as I've seen a lot of in like games like this. We had the guys. We had a good amount of guys who was just trying to get the female amounts.
We're nodding our heads. We see this everywhere.
Yeah,
so.
but so it's. I will also say that hasn't been the case at all, and like in all of the seasons I've been a part of. Sometimes it was like, oh, I have enough girls, but I don't have enough guys. So it just depends, but. I remember I actually worked with Maggie as part of like our fellowship, one of the fellowships at CNU, and I was working next to her and I was telling her about it, and she was like, "All right, I'll just do it." I was like, "All right, cool,
Perfect.
come on in." So
now her other clips are super entertaining, like in the little like cast like reel that you do at the beginning of the episode, kind of. She seems super nice, so I'm really excited to see her expand on what her first impressions are. I know, especially, we talk a lot about first impressions going into this first tribal, and those two just didn't give me the greatest first impressions. Now, your little reel of like personality and stuff, everything came out in that. So I'm super excited to see how this progresses from this first episode of those two.
Oh yeah.
now a player who I did think showed off his personality is here. And while I am not thinking he's a winner, I think Addy shows off his personality. He fails us a little bit because, spoiler alert, we'll talk about it later, he is one that goes to tribal. And he disappoints me a little bit in how he handles everything. But just his overall personality, he talks that he's seen a couple episodes, but he's not a super fan. I think that's an advantage. The super fans think they know it all. They've seen it all. They know what they're doing. And when you don't, and he just has a general basis of the game, I think his personality shined. And I think that he's going to have a great story for us to watch.
Yeah,
I do too. I think I see his enthusiasm. He's watched some Maryland. He's from Maryland too. So maybe that kind of like culminates into watching some of the episodes or whatnot. But I put on my notes that he seems a little bit older for some reason, maybe more experienced as just a game player, perhaps. But he seems, I don't know, wiser.
I think he was, not to burst your bubble, Dust. I'm pretty sure he was a freshman, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's just the attitude, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about demeanor.
Yeah, it is. His interview, Addy absolutely cracked me up during his interview and stuff. So I just thought he'd be really a fun, entertaining guy to have, because he's very lively. Like you saw his personality in the 37 minutes or whatever. So you can only imagine how he was in real life. So
I think it was a great choice for him to be the first person we get introduced to. So kudos to the editor.
Thank you.
This is the first person we see. This is the first one. And I was like, I want more. I want to meet everybody right here in this 10 minutes. And it's not what you give us, but it definitely wanted me to meet more of these players.
Got to space it out and let you get a little bit piece by piece.
Fine,
Can't give you all at once, yeah.
We'll take it. I don't know if you want to show the game board, this player thing again. So they're in there, they're getting the buffs, and you kind of briefed it.
That one?
Yes. They don't get broken up into 2 tribes, which is what I think everyone is prepared for. You throw in a twist, and you give them 3. And they're uneven.
Yep.
What happens? Why are these 3 tribes formed, and why is one uneven?
All right. I mean, I've been preparing this question since it happened. So, like I said, we had some issues with females. As you can tell, there are 9 guys and 8 girls on this season. It was about 5 days until the start of the season. I had 6 girls on the season. So I got Maggie, Kristen applied, and this other girl also. It was one of our board members' friends, callmates or whatever. She also applied. We're like, okay, perfect. But we have 9. We have the number. I don't care. We're all good. 20 minutes. It's I think it started at 9. At 8:40, get a text. Can't do it. I'm out. The girl just drops out. 20 minutes for the first challenge.
Did she say why?
She said, "Oh, I'm too busy." You know, I mean, I can't speak for her. It would have been great if I found out about this about 24 hours earlier. But yeah, that's what happened. I proceed to walk out of the room because all 17 people are in the room. Everyone's there except her. So I leave the room. I call Colin, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I just say, okay, Gwen's just gonna play again? Do I just put Madison back? Like, what do I do to make it even?
Yes.
And we were trying to I don't know what to do. So we came to the conclusion that, you know what, let's just run with 17. Just keep everyone as a helper or on board or whatever. Just run with 17. We'll makeshift the challenge. A big thing was that, like, so in the challenge, the blue tribe only had 1 thrower as opposed to 2 throwers. We didn't want someone to sit out the first challenge. That was a huge concern of ours.
Well, it worked. Yeah. The challenge was able to be moved. It doesn't look like something happened.
Yeah.
So when it is said that, hey, Blue, you have 1 less player, I was like, they do? And then I had to go back to look because it did flow nicely. I don't think anyone would have known until you gave us this little piece of information. So those who are going to play live reality games, please don't cancel 10, 20 minutes before you go because it does take planning to do the work.
Absolutely. Like, we see it all over too. Like, not all over. Like, 99% of people are like there for the game, but there's always that one person that something comes up. We just saw it too in Surviving Maine. Somebody backed out, and Eliza, the host, had to like redo some of the challenges and some of the setup on that. Her name, implicitly in whatever it was, Karen, of course, out of all names, and of course the name going around, judging people as the person to be nitpicky and whatnot. So I'm sorry, Karen, like. In Maine, that was a rough call. But Colin, do you recall that conversation being the big brother? Were you able to be the person to be brotherly advice?
I very much do remember that, of just pacing around the house trying to figure out, okay, what do we do here? What is the correct solution? And I think we finally landed on a good one. But I think that I was able to relive the conversation a little bit when we started editing it. And it sparked one of my favorite clips that I ended up having to cut of the game. Right before the game starts, Trevor had the camera set up. You have the visual of all 17 people there, and you can see in the background there's the door with the glass window. So all 17 of them are all talking with each other, and then you can see Trevor just pacing, walking back and forth while he's on the phone. And I know, so okay, so he's on the phone with me, so I'm editing him in the background having a conversation with me. That I always find that part to be pretty funny.
I can just see you guys at home being like, we'll find another girl. Let me go through my contact list. There has to be another woman in this area that can come play and give us 72 days of her life. Please, anyone?
Even bribe them with like a community idol. First one there gets an idol or like a clue. Like, get there and you'll be fine.
Oh, there you go. Next time.
I don't know if it's like bad luck or anything, but every season I've done except one had someone drop out either the day of or day before or something. Like for instance, season 1, someone dropped out and John came in and replaced that person, and that definitely changed how the season went.
It's probably just a testament to how prepared you are, because if you can't figure out how to adapt this stuff, you're not going to be able to adapt during the challenges. You can't predict everything that is going to happen when people are competing. Crazy, not thought about things happen. We see it every challenge. Something happens, or somebody comes up with a loophole, or there's always these crazy things. So I think it's a testament to your game and your mind, even on how you were able to adapt, and it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
I was very, very thankful that it turned out okay. I know 17 is such a weird number, and people might have been thinking like, oh, it must be a weird twist. It's like, no, this girl just dropped out 20 minutes prior. That's it.
I'd love to take the credit that it was like, no one's ever done 17 before. Let's try and figure this out. I'd love to take the credit as this was some great idea that we came up with, but not the case.
We'll edit this out. We'll change it back. It was a great idea.
Yeah,
we wanted them to do on their toes.
Twist on my part too. Yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, we had a vote, but we forgot to film it. Someone was voted out. We had 18. That was the twist.
Oh, Dustyn, I'm so sorry you were the first boot of this season.
I know. Again. Oh.
Just kidding. So, spoiler alert: 3 tribes, 1's left, and they get to name themselves. And I just want to say, I am not happy about this. I think that you as a host should have made the names to go with the theme of whatever you were doing, but instead we get the Blue Crew. Very, very generic. We get Mystery Gang. So what, they want to be on Scooby-Doo or something? Like, what is that?
Shaggy, so.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what? So it's named after him? He's like the superstar of this?
The mascot.
No. Yeah. And then you get the absolute worst tribal name I have ever heard in my entire life. Peptali Bismali. If you're in the crowd right now, I just want you to out loud go, Peptali Bismali. It sucks, right? Like, we don't want to say that.
Yeah, try narrating that during the challenge. There's like 15 syllables total between those 3 tribes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever shorten it? Do you ever change it? Does it get to go Pepti B? Do you ever just call it pink, which you also called red at one point, which I'm in for? Like,
yeah, I kind of did say screw it at one point. I'm just gonna go red. I just said red, but I didn't shorten it. In hindsight, probably should have been like, all right, shut it down. I'm naming you guys.
Now there's a list of like bad tribe names. Like this is like generic, like all over the place. Like it's exciting to see how bad some of them are. I find it inspiring. Like I see where they were going. They were going with the Pepto-Bismol color, a bright pink, and they wanted to make it a little bit more like tribal per se. So they added a few extra syllables and vowels and just went with it.
I think any name would have been better. Literally anything else they would have come up with could have been better. But Peptali Bismali, you don't go to the first tribal council, so I guess your name isn't cursed. Mm-hmm. It's awful, but it's not cursed. Let's get into this challenge. So this first challenge is in the middle of the night.
Well, I think it's always a little darker too with the camera work in the college campus. So
yeah. And it was a badly lit area, I believe.
Man,
it was really badly lit.
It adds to the attribute of trying to get the balls in the thing. Difficulty.
They just tore a building down where we on that field. Like they just tore it down like 3 months prior. Like not even.
For you to film this. That was so thoughtful.
Yeah, we put in the request.
So this first challenge is a wheelbarrow race, and then once they wheelbarrow, not like an actual wheelbarrow, I will show you here, like a human wheelbarrow race. They get to the end of this crazy race. They throw 2 ping pong balls into a crate, which shouldn't be hard for some college kids. They run back inside to a building and stack 20 dominoes. The crazy part is they had to put themselves, and they just met each other in all these different areas. And so you kind of get to see them collaborating and figuring out what's going on. And then you see who the true leaders are in this episode. And when I tell you, the true leader that comes out in this episode is not who we think of charming Addy. It's not. It's this guy. And I don't think anyone saw this coming. This guy. He doesn't look like he knows how to tie his shoes.
Or brush his hair.
Or anything. But yet here he is with his tribe, and he's coming up with a solution on who should go where. And he makes himself the domino stacker, and he puts this sweet little girl, she's not little, but this sweet woman, to carry this big ass man as a wheelbarrow. What was the logic in that? A big man, and this, not that she didn't do it, and she's the only girl out there, which I give her credit for. She is the only one out there as a female carrying this guy, and they thought that this was their best idea. Hey, I'm a leader. I hope you went to the gym today because I need you to pick up Addy. Were you able to hear the logic? What was it?
I couldn't hear anything. I was like, I was still trying to calm down from the girl dropping out. I was like, I was making sure all the cameras were on people. But yeah, Addy is definitely the strongest guy on Peptali Bismali, and I'm like running through. I think other than Henry, he's probably the most in shape. So it did surprise me. I feel like where you go, I think you go. Addy is holding on to Kristen. Because Kristen's skinny. She I think she has pretty long arms. She can like make big strides. I don't know. I don't see Kristen pounding the table of like, you know what, I'm throwing. I don't see that happening. So yeah, I think that delegation was questionable, and the outcome was unsurprising.
They did hold up their effort though until that face plant. But.
I think a lot of the logic for Nick in this one was that he felt like, okay, I'm good at the dominoes, so I can stack them quickly as long as we're in it. Pondo, very much, I believe he's got the attribute of being a runner, so that's the part of the task that he wanted. And I feel like Addy just felt like, okay, I'm going to do the second part of that wheelbarrow, and I'm just going to fly through it, and whoever it is, just hold on to my foot. You don't have to do anything else. I'll carry you all the way. Did not turn out that way, but I'm going to guess that was the logic and everything there.
He was going fast. He was going very fast. And then he's dropped. And then it's the drop that's heard around the world. Because that's the only thing he talks about for the rest of the episode. His only contribution to the episode is that. And then we get to meet, and she was my favorite, Sam. And Sam, she says, I am not a good thrower. I'm not good at this. But why don't you make me a thrower? Because you guys have picked all the other roles. And so Sam is there throwing these balls, and they get there early and they're ready to go, and then they're not. So we do the wheelbarrow, and it's White and Pink get there almost about the same time. I think Pink has a little bit of a lead. Peptali Bismali is there first.
You're on this now. Like after your 3 days of practicing, you were
I've practiced this so much. It's ridiculous. If you guys would have just seen me, my kids trying to say it, it's ridiculous. Peptali Bismali gets there. They're throwing the balls, and you're like, blue gets one, white gets one, and you're like, Pink maybe kind of came close. I don't think Pink has any balls left. They've thrown too much. Like, what? How long were you guys out there? Because in watching it, it feels like days. It feels like Sam was throwing these ping pong balls for 4 days, and you're like, okay, we'll just edit it in. We'll edit that you got it in. How long was it?
I think the whole challenge ref ended up being only about less than 15 minutes, I would say. But I think that if you were to look at it proportionally, like Maggie was getting those shots in very quickly. And as a comparison, she had, I would guess, her first 5 shots, she was done. She got 2 out of the first 5, where Sam definitely missed her first 7 or 8 shots. And I think that time kind of added up there for everything to go there, where it's not a big time overall, but I think the difference between them in such a shorter challenge is what makes a big difference there.
At the time, it really felt like I felt like the challenge was over in like 3 minutes. Like I felt like it happened so quickly. But I do remember, like I feel like it happened in 3 minutes, and 2 of those minutes they were throwing balls. So kind of take that what you will with the ratios, but.
Well, unfortunately, Peptali Bismolly takes days to get the balls in, and we get to go into them stacking the dominoes, where Nick, for the rest of the episode, talks about how he was able to do it 2 times, and the last one fell, and that's what cost us the challenge.
Oh, the great downfall of any hero, right? That one epic.
Arc,
yeah.
The classic story.
He had it for the team. He was a great leader. He put them all where they needed to be, and he just couldn't catch it. And I misspoke. They do lose, and Peptali Bismolly does end up going to Tribal. So the name is Bad Luck. They should change it.
That'd be a good idea, yeah.
So you go into Tribal, and they're just, the 2 teams are ready. Yeah, Team Blue. I don't even remember their boring name right now. And Team
Blue
White.
Crew.
The
Blue Crew.
Perfectly named Blue Crew, yeah.
That was the easiest one.
Name. And then Mystery Gang, and they're like, yay, we don't have to do anything until like later. They're just not enthusiastic about it at all. They're just like, we're tired. We're done. Well, we're not going to Tribal. But what does come out of it is this, I call it tea, because they thought they were sneaky about it. And you get to hear, we already met Nick, but you get introduced to him, Pondo. When I tell you, Pondo, I think, needs to be checked for edibles and a shower and a bunch of other real fun stuff. But he has a relationship with Nick. And they're not going to tell anybody. Nobody. We're not going to tell anybody. Nobody. And then you see this. How are you not going to tell anybody, guys? You're in a freaking dorm room together. What is the logic here? And I know you might be able to, as Prod, be able to tell us what their logic was. This secret was 4 seconds. They didn't even make it out of the room they were in to say we're not going to tell anybody, when they were too dumb to keep their mouth shut, and they were caught conspiring against people instantly.
And even like when the other 2 left at the end of the conversation, the other one still stuck around. Like at that time, you're like, all right, folks, it was great meeting you all. Like they all should have dispersed, and maybe the other one came back.
Circle back.
But they were like, oh, no, we're going to stick here. We're going to say we're not working together. I don't know about that.
The funniest part of the whole video is you get to see them. They're like, yeah, this stinks. We're going to Tribal. The game doesn't know we just had brunch together. And then you see Mystery Gang cracking the case, and they're like, I know you guys just had brunch together.
Yeah, that's why they named themselves that. They knew it was coming. They were able to crack the mystery on this one.
And they would have gotten away with it, too.
If it wasn't for those pesky kids.
It wasn't for Shaggy. My understanding of what happened was Nick and Pondo leave. They leave the academic building that we filmed it in. And they ran into Lily and John because they were going. I believe all 4 of them live in the same dorm, so I think they kind of left at similar times and just arrived at similar times at the dorm. And they were like, "Oh, hey, Survivor people, let's have a conversation."
I don't know. Maybe that is how it happened, but it's not how it looks like it happens. It really looks like they're still there around everybody, running their mouths. And I'm like, Nick, this is why your tribe lost. You have 0 leadership skills. Maybe the leadership major should have put you guys where you were supposed to be, and you would have won. So, yeah, I just wasn't prepared for it to be that quick, to just be out there when he claims that they're going to keep it a secret forever.
Already, like cross-tribal talks and everything, like that is pink team working with white team already. Like they are ready to get down, like quickly.
I didn't even take the screenshot. And that's the next part of it. It's a great idea for them to cross-tribal talk, because what ends up happening is Lily and John go have a little picnic with their tribe and tell everybody. So now not only is it not a secret and you can't have this little 4-person cross-tribal alliance, half the game knows. And I promise you, if all them people know, everyone else knows, because they're sharing it.
Absolutely.
And then we hear also at that little meeting of white that Colin B, there is 2 Collins that they talk about. There's a Colin B and then a Colin that goes by Ray. And Colin B is under the impression his tribe hates him. So we have Ray here and then this guy. And apparently he's hated, and I don't know how many days it's been, but it had to have been like 4 seconds. How is he hated in 4 seconds when his tribe won? How did that even come about?
This has been a question. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like that's one of like the like, if I had to write like the mysteries of Generation 1 of Cyber CNU, I have no idea why Colin Bunn thinks this way. I'm thinking maybe, you know, Colin. I think Colin. This Colin said something to me because we were talking about a couple days ago. I think it might be like Colin Bunn felt his tribe wasn't as into Survivor as he was, so he was like, "Oh, they're not talking to me, so they must be talking to each other or something." I really am confused as to why Colin Bunn thinks his tribe hates him.
Now, we see it quite often. People just develop this like fake sense of like paranoia. They're like, gosh, I'm not talking to someone right now, especially with like the bigger game players that see it on TV and see like a whole hour of like conspiring between people. And if there's not a moment that he's not talking to somebody, he's like, okay, they're talking about me. Like, I'm not in the conversation. So I could see where he might get wrapped up in his own head and just think like, gosh, I have to be in everything, every single situation at every time. But this is College Survivor. There's 72 days to go by. Like, he's going to get super paranoid and like vote himself out, honestly.
Yeah. And to your point, it could not have been more than day 3 when he was saying that. It was very early in the game until already, I'm not sure how he could have already drawn the conclusion that, oh, everyone on my tribe hates me. They'd never been to a tribal council. They'd never had like a big group meetup or anything like that. So I really don't know where the idea came from that everyone hates him on his Blue Crew tribe.
At this point, he didn't even have to talk to anybody. There's nothing to talk about. You're not going to tribal, and you're not helping the other tribe at their tribal. You don't have a vote in it. You don't have an advantage to give them. You're not exiling somebody, so you have to strategize. There's literally nothing for him to talk about except, do you want to go get brunch with me? That's what he should be asking. So
right.
He's declared that his whole Blue Crew hates him. And the moment that he gets a chance, he is flipping on them. Why would you put that into the universe? Because I guarantee you, Blue Crew knows about it. I bet you before it was even all the way out there, somebody was Snapchatting. I heard you hate Colin. Me too, bro. Let's get him out. Like, what is the logic?
He's ready to play. He's been watching for so long. He's ready to come in and make as many big moves as he can. Good moves? Maybe not. But big moves, he's ready.
And big moves with a Z as well.
Oh, with a Z too. Like, I'm seeing this from, I think, John as well. Like, John in his confessional, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is still episode 1. I'm getting to know all the characters. But I think John wanted to come in. He's like, I'm a huge fan of Survivor. I can't wait to like manipulate people and like stab people in the back. Not in those many words, but he is ready definitely to get some blood on his hand. And
I will never forget this answer. He was a big enough fan. I asked him, what Survivor player do you want to be most like? Destiny, you might want to swallow that because I might spit it out once to say it. He said, I most want to be like Brian Heidick. I said, oh, that's an interesting answer.
Did he say why?
Because he's a master manipulator, completely controlling his tribe and everything. I doubt he knows about the extracurricular things of Brian Heidick, but I think on the beaches of Thailand. I think that's what he was going for. So I was like, oh, all right.
Well, he did say that he wants to be a villain. And
Yep.
I'm going to tell you the true testament to a villain. They're not labeling themselves a villain. They probably think they're a hero, but they're really a villain.
Yep.
So I don't know what that was about. And then he injured his hand, so he can't use it for like, he's like, I can still play my guitar though, because I'm a guitar player, but I can't lift anything. What the fuck kind of talent? Sorry. What talent is that going to do for you in a challenge? Is there a guitar playing challenge where this is the skill you're going to need to bring?
Yeah, Final Immunity Challenge is Guitar Hero. So.
Oh, what a relief. Got it. I was like, why would you even tell them? Like, tell them nothing. Yeah, I hurt my hand, but it'll be okay, guys. Because I promise you, the first thing I thought when I saw it casted was like, that's an easy boot. Like, you're dead weight.
Yep.
You are dead
Unless
weight.
you make it to merge, and then you're like, all right, there might be a challenge he can't do well at. So
you can stay. Can your casket wet yet? Oh, we can't. We're going swimming. Like, you can stay. Why would he put that out there? Like, say nothing. Be like, I'll be okay in a couple of days, guys. And then, like, later be like, nope, still hasn't healed yet. But, like, next time, like, I got this. I'm going to keep going. Like, you don't tell them. Because I can see it. I think Shaggy's there. Shaggy's in this one. And he's kind of like, I'm a super fan. I'm in a theater major. So he's just a natural liar. Like, that's all he does for a living. There was another theater major, one of the girls. Just lying.
Lily, yep.
They're just going to lie, right? And so I can just see him being like, oh, bro, you're my understudy and you're not getting the role. Like, why?
Is his real name Shaggy, or is that just his name on the show?
No, his real name is not Shaggy, but he said
he wanted to go by Shaggy this season, right? And he wants to like use his nickname is Shaggy basically, and he wanted to just go by that.
Yeah, he didn't want to go by his. He wanted to be like he wanted to be different than how he was in high school or anything like that. So he wanted to be a new name, new me is how I understood it. And like to this day, I understand that he still calls himself Shaggy. So
what is his real name?
Austin.
Oh, that's so much better. I would actually like you better if you were an Austin.
But then you
I
can't.
don't know. Austins kind of have bad luck in live reality games. I don't know. Like Austins really like are huge in the community. There's always like an Austin in like every college survivor, but they never have the best of luck. So maybe this will be good for him to change it up.
He named the tribe after himself. It's not going to work out for him.
To be fair, I do believe Abby is the one who came up with the tribe name, and they were like, oh, let's name our tribe something mysterious. And then Abby says, oh, like Mystery Gang. Which is not the most creative response to that. But then Shaggy's like, yeah, that's perfect. I'm Shaggy. This works perfectly. So I feel I don't know if it was like in her subconscious that like, oh, we have Shaggy here, we'll be Mystery Gang. But I feel like they kind of backed into a decent name, at least. Definitely the best of the three. Not a big award, but it's the best of the three.
It is probably the best of the three, which is saying something. Did they all pick a Scooby-Doo character then? Like one of them's like, I'm gonna be Scooby.
They definitely did. They had multiple conversations of who was who. I don't remember at all who was any of them, but they had multiple conversations of them all.
I kind of like it, but I would also vote you out because if I'm like, oh, Shaggy and Scooby, clearly you're a final two. Bye-bye.
Someone was definitely Scrappy as well.
Yeah.
They weren't too pleased to be Scrappy. Whoever it was not happy about being Scrappy.
I feel like John was Scooby. And like Colin was Scrappy, and Colin was like, I don't care.
That's probably why he thinks he's hated. It all makes sense now. I feel like Gabe would be the Scrappy. As I'm looking
that's on Blue Crew, yeah.
I still think he's Scrappy, and he needs to go to the other. He just looks Scrappy.
He's on the wrong tribe.
I'm looking at the white team. Like we have Lily, Abby, Leah, Ray, Shaggy, and John. So.
Leah has to be. I don't remember her name. Is Velma the pretty one? The really pretty, like.
No, Daphne is.
Daphne. Okay,
I think her. Lily has the glasses like Velma in some of the pictures. Yes. So. Okay. Oh, so does Abby though too. I'm noticing now.
Abby seems smart. I remember thinking when she walked up, to get her buff, she just had an aura of confidence about her, but it wasn't so overwhelmingly cocky. There were people who were walking up I won't bring up my not biggest fan right now. Sophie doesn't necessarily have like this, I want to be here and play with everyone kind of walk. Abby does. I think she's going to do great just off of her walk and this confidence she had. And like I admired it watching it. I was like, get it, girl. That's what I want to see. Do it. You do it. It's intimidating being in a room where you don't know these people. And she owned it in a way that I respect so much. So good job, Abby. Keep up that energy.
Well, besides Abby, there's a bunch of cast members we haven't said, and we're kind of like into tribal and everything. Any quick thoughts about like fan favorites right now? I do a quick like kind of like down the list, like top left. So Gabe is pretty quiet. I know nothing about Gabe. Like middle of the road for me.
I don't even know who he is.
Yeah,
aside that I think he's scrappy.
Leah seems really nice, like really personable. Her confessionals are really nice. She has some plans already with some people. I think she said she was going to partner with Ray, another character that I'm interested in seeing more of. Destiny, Leah.
I don't remember Leah as much as I do everyone else. She just didn't have like that big introduction, but Ray does talk about her in a positive light, and so I think that's going to be something that we're going to get to see there. I think there's some kind of connection with them.
I think we covered Pondo, Colin already. Maggie, I just want to say, even though I thought you were really uninterested in the beginning, I feel like your clips in everything else were amazing. So I'm super excited to see if you were going to be like the Maggie from Michigan, that I really like, one of my personal favorites, which would be amazing.
Of course.
But she seems very like over the top eventually. So hopefully you break out of your shell. We talked about Sophie. Kristen was kind of like a background character for me, like what you were saying for Leah. I didn't really get to know Kristen very much.
She's too quiet, and my ending part here is on Kristen, so I'll save my rest of my words for her at the very end. She's too quiet. And they talk about in deliberations on how she's kind of this decision maker, and I just didn't see it. And I think she was a scapegoat. There's no way that she made this decision. So
Hannah, I think she came to this initial challenge like ready to run. She seems really athletic, so I'm really excited to see her go a little bit further. I think she's excited to play this game, and that's what I like to see.
We talk about Colin. He believes that he is hated by his entire tribe. He also pegs John very, very early. So I was like, okay, Colin, you do you. Put it out there that John's a target that you need to get out. And then they're not together. So it's like, well, that was anticlimactic.
We talked about Shaggy. We talked a little bit about Ray. I have high hopes for Ray. And then we move on to Henry, the student president. I am concerned about this huge target already. Like, student president. Whoa.
He's too likable. He's too likable and he's too known. He's not going to be able to hide anything like some of the other characters. This campus isn't that big. People know who he is. You have to. And so that's either going to be in his favor because he is so likable, and that's going to put a social target on his back. Or they're going to be like, yeah, no. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Henry.
Another social target coming up, Lily. Lily is probably my favorite character on this season and probably favorite person. She's super personable. Like, she describes herself as being determined and ready for like an endurance challenge. So I'm ready to see her really like go far and make it. So Lily, you probably have my vote for Endgame at least. So
we're on the same page here.
Thank you.
My quotes for Lily. I love her. She's so bubbly. She's ready to lie in a good way. She's too likable. Why aren't all the other women like this? That is my, like, Lily, please don't fail us because I think the women are going to pull out for us eventually, but.
Her opening Lily Pond joke name gets me every single time. I know as we were going through it, I read her application a few times and saw, okay, her name is Lily Pond, and never put it together until she said it, that it's, Lily Pond is her name. And I never put it together, and it makes me laugh every time I hear it.
She's going to do great. And if she doesn't, then we'll just stop this altogether. No, I'm just kidding.
And then John was kind of mysterious, but still, like, at the same time, he came in as a villain. We've already kind of talked about that. We hinted that Abby had that persona of being smart and intelligent. In her clips too, I'm excited to see like what kind of discussion is going on. Like, she's there, like, I don't know, giving some sass or something. Like,
I just
I'm
call it
ready.
radiant confidence. I think she just knows who she is, and she's like unapologetically herself. And you saw it from the moment she walked up to get her buff, and I love it. So don't change.
Another favorite of mine, probably we said some negative things about him too, but Nick, I think Nick is really personable, and I think he will be able to be like maybe a swing person to like build alliances with other people. I don't know. Destiny, Nick, in the end, what do you think?
Nick is actually my favorite guy, even though I have dogged him all episode. Poor Nick. I just think he made bad decisions, and he put a target. He didn't play under the radar like he could have. He separated himself from the pack. He was out. He wasn't seen. It was just the wrong decision for him because he is so likable. My one negative on Nick, you made a promise in this game. And when I heard it, I out loud gasped. I went, because he just lied to her. You run into Sam and it's a lie. And I don't love that. But I'm going to hope that you redeem yourself and you're going to make it up to me. Because I am rooting for you, but let's not do that anymore.
Second to last up, we have Addy. I think he's going to be a huge physical threat. He's one of the, like, I think Colin mentioned it earlier. He's like the most athletic guy in the cast. So I think that's going to hurt him in the end, but maybe he's got a great personality. I think people will bond with him and try to work with him.
The best part that I love about Addy, aside from that, I just think he was so personal when we first met him, is he's not a fan of Pondo. And he's not saying it, but Pondo feels it. So I don't know if he's going to be able to manipulate that and Pondo ends up winning and it's like this cool underdog story. It's not what I want. I want Addy to take the Chex Mix out of Pondo's hand, dump it on his head, and be like, have a good walk. That's my hope. Please make it happen for me. Do some edit clips, make it happen so I can just pretend like I was right. This is going to be, and you can kind of feel it the whole episode building. There's going to be conflict there. And I don't know if it's going to be a battle of two. I do not see them working together.
And then we have Sam to talk about. Sam, super personable. We talked earlier about it, like one of, I think, the greatest narrators so far. I don't know if it's just based on the clips that you were given, Colin, but I think like Sam had a lot to say and she was really good in delivering it.
She was. And we talked before, she's a leadership and marketing major. And I was hoping with those skills, she would just be able to sell herself a little bit more. I think that she wasn't given the chance to just play the game. She talked about how she's not good at throwing ping pong balls. She's not a partier. It's not her thing. And yet my leader, Nick, still puts her in this role. And it kind of ends up being the downfall for this tribe. And as we've been talking, Pep-Dolly Bismolly does end up going to tribal. The twosome duo of Nick and Pondo make promises that they can't keep. They write some checks that aren't going to check.
Cash.
Checks mix.
Check.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. There you go. They're not going to. Anyway, they lie to her. They lie to her hard. And you get to see this awful thing here. It has bothered me for days. This scene here. You have Pondo, who spends the entire tribal council eating Chex Mix, offering Chex Mix to Addy, who is not interested, but he's like, oh, I'm gonna give an olive branch. You're gonna be my friend with food, because that's what boys like. You see Nick, who's like, I'm into this. Like, I do care. Sam, who's like, you promised me. This is a promise.
And Sam feels bad about, like, mentioning anything. She's like, I feel guilty about voting any of these people out. Like,
she also owned the fact that she didn't do her best in that challenge. She owned it. And she was like, it's probably my fault that we lost. I take accountability for it. And I'm going to do better the next time. You can't beat that in a person. That's who you want on your tribe. You don't want the person who's like, I didn't do anything wrong. You want the person who's going to learn and grow from it. And then you have what I like to call the mean girls. And they're probably very sweet. This episode, I am not a fan of Sophie. I don't know how to say it any other way. I just think she is not interested. And then we have Kristen. And she is framed as the one who has decided that Sam is going to be the vote. Apparently she talked to Pondo and there were some other options, but she decided that they're going to vote Sam. And I didn't buy it at first until I saw this. Look at that face of like, I just manipulated this whole crew into doing what I wanted, even though it wasn't a lot of work. It's what they wanted anyways. And we see this face so many times, disinterested, not wanting to be there. And oh yeah, I just got what I wanted. And I'm not a fan. I think that those two working together, and they talk about it. I don't like it. And I hope that it's caught, and I hope Addy's not with him. That's my hope. I hope that they're Team Pondo and Addy takes him out.
Yeah.
Spoilers, can you tell me is that what happens?
Can't give too much away. Gotta keep you waiting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we don't have to wait too long.
When's the next episode?
Tuesday at 7. It will be released.
Fantastic.
And remember, it is a double episode. So 2 of the remaining 16 will be taken out of the game. We'll have 14 at the end. Little bit of a longer episode, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, I look forward to it, and I think you left us on the biggest cliffhanger we will probably ever get. Do you remember what you say at the end of the episode? Colin probably does.
I do remember what I said. I was looking over some stuff. Yeah. Well, for one, the challenge sounds interesting for next episode. But yes, I do remember a contestant might reach their limit next episode. So we'll see if the game becomes too hard for some people. See if that affects anything within the game.
The last thing you hear in this clip is, "Do we even need to vote?" And I was like, who is this sweet little boy yelling at? Who is Trevor upset with? Because I just wasn't prepared from the sass from you. And did you give it? Do we even need to vote? I just wasted my time. I'm here. Are we voting?
I really hope to see it's like some big blow up or something, and not just somebody that's like, I just don't care to be here anymore, which happens, I know, sometimes. And I know the effort from everyone isn't 100%. All people get busy. It's college. They get stressed. Yes. But I really hope it's a bigger thing than I just don't want to be here anymore. Kind of just like give her up kind of thing. But it is what it is. And if they want to bow out with that kind of attitude, bow out. Like, get out of here. Like Lily said, she's ready to play with people that want to play. And so I'm super excited to see her, and I'm super excited to see how other people progress in this season and probably just open up. Like, this is still season 2 of CNU. Like, people aren't used to the cameras in their faces, like getting recorded. So I think people are like just still getting comfortable with this whole like experience.
I do think it does get better. Eventually you forget that they're there just from experience. Eventually you quit caring how you look. And you're like, just set the camera up. I need to tell you, did you hear what he did? Just set the thing up. Did you hear this? And so hopefully we get to see a little bit more of like the personal connections and conversations, because we didn't get to see a lot of it, and they have to be happening. So I look forward to it.
And I look forward to meeting some of the castmates and just like talking over their decisions. As we know, there's always the couldas, the wouldas, and the shouldas, or the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, whatever the phrase may be. Like, I'm excited to see what they take from this game and the relationships they built, or maybe something that they learn from each other and about themselves. So.
And hopefully there's no more Chex Mix wherever you guys are. And that is not a theme of this season. Is that what we're going to see every time he goes to tribal? Just prepare me now.
That was their second choice for a tribe name. They were stuck between Patali Bismali or to be tribe Chex Mix.
Oh,
so.
It is what it is. So
figures.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. Just as a reminder, we are in works of getting up to 500 likes on Facebook. So make sure you give us the thumbs up here at Facebook. So Live Reality Games, just search for us there. And then, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have some nice giveaways of these nice buffs, perfect for the summer season, either mowing the grass or out on like the canoe or something. Great as a headband, great as a wristband, great in so many various fashions. A special design coming up very soon. Colin, thanks for coming on as head editor and explaining a little behind the scenes. Trevor, as the host, I'm sure we'll see you again. Colin, of course, you're welcome back. And Destiny, thank you for joining our team and being head podcaster on this. It was super nice to hear you chat and all those hot takes, as Craig said earlier in the season.
Poor Sophie. I'm sure you're lovely, Sophie. Just do better for me. Please watch the show. Watch Survivor CNU. It's going to be released on Tuesday. It's a double episode. Come in here, chat with me. I want to talk to you about it. So you have to watch it so we can talk about it.
Destiny, close. I gave you power, so you hit the end broadcast after a little goodbye or anything. So, all right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.